Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly, and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Okay, next please. How can I help you, young man?
We want to go all in on EHTH. We're so pumped about our MGOL bet, and Chinese-owned Australian gyms are our next big thing.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that checked and it's gone.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Laughing Stock. Been a great week for MGOL, right, Dane?
Yes, yeah, nailed it.
We
Perfect
nailed
timing.
it. This is one of the biggest bets that has gone in for us, I think. And once again, if you follow, no, don't follow anything we do. But if you had followed the MGOL all-in bet, I think it was up 1000%.
We're gonna make inverse ETF of our choices for the opening of the
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah, we have to figure out something like that. But yeah, this Chinese-owned Australian gyms, they seem to struggle a bit. But I did see some people in the comment sections around that ticker were saying this looks a lot like MGOL. So you watch.
As in it's dead. Yeah, I agree. Just remember, MGOL got all the way down to 10 cents before it finally decided it was gonna do a dead cat bounce.
Yeah.
So
It has some way to go still, maybe, but yeah, nice to see that some picks are working out, right?
yeah, the ones we don't pick.
Yeah. But
No, I mean, yeah, but this is why, I mean, technically you could zombie invest all you want. I mean, you do take a risk on. So if you were to do, this is the problem I see with this. So like, yeah, you know, you could be like, yes, it was up 1000% in like a short amount of time. But if you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to shotgun spread this across like 100 different companies, maybe even 200 companies, and you're gonna be able to take like 0.5% positions or something like that. And then if one of them works out, you know, that 1000% return makes up a huge part of your portfolio. But you know, you also have to think that probably 95% of those are going to go bankrupt. Like there's a reason they're trading at 10 cents and you
Yeah.
know, it looks terrible. And at that point, the one thing you have on your side is almost like the optionality side of it, which is if anything good comes out, any kind of good news, like it's not going to die or it's somehow they're pivoting or whatever they're doing, getting acquired, that it could bounce. So
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and also too, I think sometimes too, like even I'm looking at the what is this? This is the intra. This is every hour for the past month chart, and when I look at it that way, like it does on technical slowly start to break out around like February 6th is when you first see it. So you could have got in somewhere around there, and then it breaks over. What is that? The I have a 65 EMA. I don't know where the heck I got that from,
Yeah.
but that must have been like Qualimodis or something. But when it breaks through that, then it starts to skyrocket. So, but even
And
there, I mean, that's at 20 cents. So the thing is, right there now you're down to 500% return. Which, don't get me wrong, that's sick. But at the same time, like I said, if these are small positions, you're not seeing like a huge return to your account. And if you go any higher than that, you're going to bankrupt yourself. There's no way you could do this without, like, unless you're an insider.
yeah, but
Unless
look
you're
at the.
working in the U.S. Senate.
I was a bit surprised to see the volume.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is like, I mean, you got to think, you can go in here. This is 10 cents, so you
Yeah.
can go in here with like $50,000 and buy a ridiculous amount of shares.
Yeah.
So who even knows who these people are actually buying this? It's
Yeah,
probably,
that's the
I feel like I
thing.
picture like 5 or 6 guys who are like semi-rich and they're just like joking around and like, all right, let's just mess around with MGOL and see how high
Yeah.
we can get this.
And I saw FTEL, they were actually up on Friday quite a bit too, but overall I think it was down 80% or something for the week. So
Yeah.
they've been struggling, but yeah, let's see where this one takes us. Maybe we get two in a row.
Yeah, you never know.
No.
But I will say MGOL also dropped 40% yesterday. So
Yeah.
once again, a bit of a whiplash there.
Yeah. And
Well, and as always, this is not investing advice. Don't do this.
Please don't follow the intro video.
Yeah, the intros, do not ever invest in the intros. Don't invest in any of it, really. Do your own due diligence, but
Yeah.
especially the intros.
Yeah, we always do a little bit of research when we pick the intro tickers, and I checked out the website for the MGOL stuff. I think I said it last when we actually had the video on. It's just, it doesn't look very good, anything about the company. But what do I know? If you invested, then you would get a nice return. So
I will say, I don't ever do this, but I know Qualamaji, his third style is the parabolic shorts.
yeah,
So this could have been one where he's trying to, you could wait till till it starts to break down. Because when I look at that hourly chart, it looks like on February 13th it starts to peak and then it struggles. Now on the 14th it does make it back up, but the 14th, after like, I don't know, like midday, it just starts to tank.
yeah.
So
Let's see where it lands in the end. But
yeah.
not a very pretty chart overall either. And I think there was a lot of dilution there too. Anyways, we don't need to spend time on the stupid tickers. Let's go to...
How did your week go?
My week was frustrating. I'm down for the week. I think in general that it was a bit of a flat week maybe. But for me, I was down. To sum it up quickly, I think I took too many trades this week. Especially on Monday, because Monday wasn't necessarily a good day even, but I took like four names I think in a day, which in the setup and everything, at least according to me, looked good, but then and they did start breaking out properly, but then they pulled back on me and I got stopped out. And then that made me a bit hesitant for the following days in terms of, I didn't want to continue to buy 4 names each day, because I also have to consider a bit the fees. I have to pay fees. So it's a balance act. So when I got that a little bit of a bad start, I got a bit hesitant on doing some other stuff. But I was in PBI and I got stopped out before it continued up. That's annoying. I even lowered my stop actually on that one. I took it down to 4% and it still got me stopped up just barely. and then of course you pull
That's
back.
why I don't adjust
And
my stops, because I've done that
huh?
so I did that a few times when I was first doing this. I would adjust my stop down to
Yeah,
4 or 5, and all I ended up doing was losing more. I'm like,
yeah,
because in my mind, I know what you're saying. You're like, because you look at one and you're like, oh man, if I would have just set it at 4, I wouldn't have got stopped out.
yeah,
But then you in practice, what ends up happening is all the other ones you get stopped out. If you bring it to 4, now you're just shaving extra percentages
yeah,
off.
yeah. No, I don't do, but they had good earnings. You know, we can take a look on it later. There was news, and I know PBI from before. You do too, I know. So I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to stay in it, but it just I got I got stopped out, and then it came up. It would have been a 10% for me in a couple of days. So that was a bit annoying. I played that wrong, and I know I said to you in the chat we have that. Instead of doing some stupid things with the stop loss, it was my fault with my. I had a too high of an entry. I should have waited because it did pull back. It's not always easy to understand when you should wait and stuff like that, and it's very easy to say in hindsight. But I've experienced it now a couple of times that I'm a bit. It's in a tight loss, so that I was a bit trigger happy this week. So
Yeah.
I think to be a bit more patient and see if things actually pull back and just follow, be a bit more stubborn on where you want to take things, I think could benefit me moving forward in terms of, yeah, if I had and GRRR was another one. I had purchase orders into GRRR and they didn't trigger. I even have the purchase orders higher than the current price was, but I couldn't get in. And then it jumped up to like from 9%, I think, to 15 pretty quickly. And I decided to not chase it that day, but then of course it ended up 30% up. So that was also annoying. And I know it pulled back the next day. I would of course hold it to the next day, but I think I would raise my stop loss to at least break even on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Believe I got stopped out of it as well once.
those two are a bit frustrating for me this week, and I think if I had been more correct on those two, I would have been up for the week and not down. I'm just a few a small loss this week, but after last week it's a bit annoying, and I keep missing on some of the big movers, you know. We can go through the tickers later, but there were other ones I had on my watch list also that like I said, I was a bit hesitant, so I didn't want to go into them because if I went into everything, it would be too many names for me. But I clearly chose the wrong ones this week. I got a little bit of a bad start, which affected me for the rest of the week. But yeah, it's just stuff that I'm learning, and even though I hear it and I read it and stuff like that, I'm still need to experience it, I think, to really feel like how things need to work. So yeah, I think I had one or two small gains this week, but they were nothing impressive. Yeah, I think that's my week. How was yours?
Mine was okay. I didn't get a chance much. Like there was probably 3 of the days I wasn't able to really watch very well. Yesterday I was barely able to watch because I was driving for a big chunk of the day. So I actually ended up just shy of a percent. I was up like 0.75 exactly for what I was ended up being up, whatever that matters. I'm only in 3 names, and right now I'm in SENS, ADTN, and I took EHTH at close yesterday. I thought it looked like it had just started to break out, so I took that one.
Yeah,
But yeah, I had the same thing. I did get stopped out of a few names, and PBI was one of the ones I ended up staying in. I got in at a good time, so that one, SENS was up but pulled back heavy on Friday, and SENS is throwing me off a little bit because when I look at the chart, I want to argue that on Wednesday when I bought, even though it was kind of a breakout that day, it wasn't the actual start of the breakout. I believe I'm arguing the breakout happens the next day. So, yeah, you can see how the yellow candle, like it went up that day, but it kind of pulled back throughout the day.
yeah,
and then the next day to me it's like obviously a much clearer breakout, and then on Friday it pulled back. So I'm still in it. I didn't sell it. That might be a mistake, which I got to stop doing that if it ends up hurting me.
Yeah.
But it was annoying to watch most of that get eroded through the day because at one point you can see on that one candle it hit $1.40, and I was up like 13%. I probably should have just sold there,
Yeah,
but
because on that day it was up like 20% at the max, so that was a good day for SENS. I had it on my watch list. I was thinking like I regret that this was actually one that I was hesitant on because of what I just mentioned that I didn't take, that I regret it. But yeah, I pulled back a little bit.
yeah, so like I said, it might have been the wrong move. I might have missed already the top, and then it opened strong on Friday, but then pulled back all day. So that's kind of why I was like, let's see if it has any more strength to it.
Yeah.
Which I mean, the rest of the chart looks fine to me. But yeah, some of the other names that I got stopped out of that I tried to get in and I'm annoyed are Rapid, which
Yeah.
it ended up pulling back quite a bit on Friday, which would have been the day I would sell. So and not much. It just didn't really do anything but like the initial day I would have got in, and on Thursday would have been good.
Yeah.
Um and I know someone on his name's QQQ. I can't remember the rest of your acronym or whatever you had on your name, but he was asking to kind of have us go over our style a little bit. And really just as a quick refresher. So we're swing trading right now. Most of the names, I'd say, for me, almost all of them. I don't even have a deep value position right now, although I may possibly take one with USEG. Um, Typically, our style is to wait for some kind of breakout from some kind of form of resistance. We're looking at strong stocks, so typical leaders in whatever category it may be. And that doesn't mean that they have to be market leaders in terms of like they're the best company, but they're the strongest stock is what I'm looking for. Um, and then I'm at least looking for some kind of consolidation period. I mean, if you've read anything from Qualmaji or Mark Minervini or any of the other swing traders, William O'Neill, it's in that light of that style. Now it's our own take on it. We've both been basically recording our trades and kind of figuring out what works for us, what doesn't work for us. But my style, to be kind of specific, is I'm usually taking about a 10% position size. I hold for usually 3 days. Just in the current market, I'll adjust that as the markets get better or worse. And it depends too. Like sometimes the stock just shows like incredible strength, or like a whole sector is moving for multiple days. So that would be the case. I would hold it possibly longer than that. Or like I said on GRR, or not GRR, SENS, on SENS, it's not clear enough to me exactly what day the breakout is. So I kind of bend the rules and but looking for something that's moving at least 4 or 5% a day as it's starting to break out from an area of resistance, and then the goal is to try and get in there without chasing it up too much, and then setting a tight stop loss. I mean, that's honestly, I should have started with that. That's our style: set a tight stop loss. If we've been doing about 3%, we play around with the number, but I find 3% is pretty good, because if it pulls back more than 3%, you either mistimed your entrance or it doesn't have enough strength to actually break out.
Yeah.
So
It's very telling.
yeah. So that's why I do it. And if you just do the math, we're shooting for 3-1 on the return on that. So I'm hoping, most of the time I'm trying to go into something, I'm looking for something that I think can go up about 10% from wherever I've gotten in. And we do have some rules that as it goes up to bump that stop loss up to either break even or actually start to lock in a gain. But since we've been doing it, so a lot of the weeks are flat or slightly good or slightly bad. Like you're up 1% or down 1% or whatever. But then occasionally, the one nice thing is you'll nail one or two stocks during a week, and you'll be up 5 to 10% on those weeks.
Yeah.
So the real goal of the style is to end up at 50 to 100% returns or higher, for that matter.
For a year.
And it really depends on market sentiment. Like right now, you can tell we're kind of moving sideways. And I'd say like last week, for instance, what would you argue? 3 of the days were kind of poor for this, and then 2 of them were good.
Yeah, but I pulled up QQQ now, Dane, and I think that chart is a bit interesting. Have you seen it?
No, I'm looking right now though that you pull it up, and that looks like could possibly break out. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's bullish for us. Most of the stocks we do are in the Nasdaq. So
Yeah.
which I know QQ is not like a perfect Nasdaq composite, but it's good enough.
Yeah.
So
And I also have this you know, this one I've referred to it in the past, and we have been here in the middle now for a little bit, and you know, we just want to see it moves up to this yellow line, which means the market is performing, and there's going to be some opportunities for us. I think, yeah,
Yellow is good.
yellow is good.
That's the real deep part of our investing, is that
Yeah.
yellow is good.
So,
But yeah, so that's just kind of a quick overview of the style. And
yeah, in
you
terms
know,
of
there's a lot of nuance,
yeah.
but that's just practice, to be honest.
In terms of sectors and stuff, Dane, you don't care too much about if you are in biotech or something like that. But I'm still a bit hesitant towards the biotech stocks in this style. I just I need to grow my account a little bit more before I take a little bit more chances. I think so. I'm just, for me, I'm avoiding them for now at least.
Yeah, I won't avoid. I won't. Yeah, I'll definitely go into biotech, but it's always under like the presence of like what could go wrong.
Yeah,
So when you're in biotech, obviously, is there like trial data coming out? Because to be honest, it's kind of counterintuitive. But even like for instance, like earnings are coming up. Like if it's a company I really love and I really trust in, and you know they've just been killing it every time for like a long time, I might stick through earnings. But also with our short holding period, like you can take on like serious risk from earnings, because if you wake up in the morning and your stop loss didn't trigger because the whole move happened out of market hours, that's one area where you can kind of get screwed, and there's not much you can do about that. So since we have these short time frames, we don't need to necessarily be in during earnings. I'd rather kind of get in the day of earnings when they come out good right away, or you know, be around it where the stuff's moving because people are kind of anticipating good earnings or whatnot. So same with like biotech. Like if um if I'm getting into a biotech name, I'm just going to quickly check the narrative and see like, is there any recent trial data that came out when, um, or is it like, you know, in like 2 weeks, they're waiting for results from a trial, and you know, it's kind of building up in pressure to those results,
yeah,
which will probably be make or bust for the stock. So I'm gonna be playing around with it outside of those narrative changes, because that's where you can see the big swings. And yes, certainly you miss some of the upside on some of those things, but I'm okay going in, you know, if something's really going to move, something's really going to break out, and I'm talking like a 30-40% move. You know, if I miss the first 15%, it's okay. I'll be fine. You know, if
yeah,
I can take 25% returns here and there, you know, that can basically afford most of my trades for the rest of the week,
yeah,
you know,
for
just
sure.
to hit one of those stocks. So
Yeah,
um
and
that's the nice thing about the 3-to-1 return.
in terms of market cap, I think we look from low side around 20 million, I think, to like up towards 2.5 billion. Maybe not so much the 2.5 ones, but yeah. What do you think the max is, Dane, for you?
Well, it depends on like what else I'm seeing, because you know, as you get into above 2 billion, 3 billion in that range, yes, the returns start to become smaller. You're not going to see like a 3 billion stock um like double, you know, not in a short time period. It may over the course of like, you know, like a month or two, which is still fast, don't get me wrong, that's still
Yeah,
an impressive move for a big company. But it's not going to happen in a few days. And sure, you could adjust your style like Qualamaji does, and end up selling on a moving average, which you know, some of these stocks, like I have Rapids uh chart up right now, and I've tried it before, and the only reason I don't is because I would get stopped out at different points, so I don't. But I mean, he doesn't sell until it closes below the moving average, which means if you would have caught the first breakout on Rapid, which is like, you know, probably mid-February, you could argue somewhere in there, you would still be holding like half your position or whatever, and you would be up a lot on that. I mean, it would be, so you know, there's other ways of catching really big moves without hopping outside of some of these moving average, or with using the moving averages.
yeah,
I kind of like the faster turnover of kind of buying and selling my entire position usually. Um, which, you know, I don't know, maybe if I go back and continue, I've gotten better obviously with my picks, and also not making mistakes, you know, really following the rules properly. But there's so many times too where it taps a moving average or something. So if you have your stop loss in place, it'll come out. So you really don't capture that whole move.
yeah.
And at this point too, there's so many times where like a stock's moving like really up and down and I want to get in on it, but it goes up 1%, down 2%, up 3%, down 2%, you know, and it's doing it pretty quickly. So like you're hesitant to put that 3% stop loss on because it kind of sucks to like go in and get stopped right out immediately. But at the same time, it saves you because the worst thing is when it drops 5 or 6 and then you're like hesitant to what you should do. Should I stay in?
Yeah, then
Should I
you're a bit
sell right
trapped.
there? And like what you should do is automatically sell right there no matter what, even though it sucks that and that's why, because the thing you should do is the worst thing, which is sell right away and just take the big loss. That's why from now on, I've just set myself with like, I have it like in my phone. I have it on things around me saying, follow your rules because the rule is the 3% stop loss stands always.
Yeah,
And as long as that I would be up way more. I know he said, wow, 30% was great. And yes, it's not year to date. I corrected because if it sounded like that last time, I apologize. I'm up about 6% right now for the year to date, but 30% in the course of like 4 months, which is still great. I mean, I'm still happy with that. But,
yeah,
um, if I continue at that rate, I'll beat my 50%, which is like my low bar that I'm setting for myself is 50% a year.
yeah.
But,
Uh,
sorry, what was my point here? Where was I
Yeah,
going with
no, I
this?
think this sums up the style good, and just if you have more questions, just post them in the video, or we will update the link after the stream to Discord, so it will open up. Come into the Discord, and we are talking a bit in the Discord too during the day. What we
Sure.
want with the Discord, right, is to have more people in there that we can discuss tickers, throw
Yeah,
out some
a bit
ticker
more
names. And
live. It's
so,
the like Discord's kind of good because I mean, yeah, we're not like on Discord 24/7, but like I can see
no,
the names that you're looking at during the day and um it's a little bit more. But to answer the initial question too, like yes, I'll go into something up to about 3 billion.
yeah,
Over that, like I said, I just find there's very few stocks that move a lot faster over that. So like why try and guess the one out of the top 500 stocks that are going to really move, like that's tough to do, and usually they're really big. And I'd probably be using weekly charts. Like if I'm looking at Nvidia, I'd probably be going off weekly, not daily.
yeah,
Because I just think when you get that big, it's easier to follow something like that. Like William O'Neill, he always used a weekly chart, and I was always surprised. But then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, this guy's pushing hundreds of millions of dollars. Like it would start at that point. I think it would start to make sense to do weekly moves as opposed to daily moves because um, you're going to be in the bigger names anyways, and you're going to have to kind of expand your time horizon. But I mean, you got to think the goal of a big institution is to beat the S&P. I mean, that's always the goal. So if those guys are able to return 30-40% over the course of a year constantly by doing that with really big companies, I mean, that's still fantastic. So
yeah,
um, just different based on what your account size is.
yeah.
But yeah, so I tend to stick in stuff that's usually under like a billion. I find like a couple hundred millions usually a good sweet spot. Usually see those names can move quite a bit.
Yeah.
Um,
And we have been the
so
same in our deep value approach towards the market cap, actually. So that's where our pool has been all the time, I think.
yeah, and the thing playing around in deep value is it's like I don't remember who I was listening to and they were talking about this, but everyone always starts with look at the best stocks and the because that's like the Buffett styles, look at like the best companies and go from there. And to be honest, it's almost advantageous to start with everything that's worse. Like just find the garbage because like when you learn to sift through that, it makes you like much better at really recognizing when there might be something when it looks like there's nothing. Um and a lot of these small companies that you're buying into, they're not usually like this beautiful gem. They got some as RK used to say, some hair on them.
Yeah,
And you're trying to see what they can do and perform. And the big difference between obviously this more swing trading style is we're using technicals in the market to show us when those are taking off as opposed to trying to fundamentally understand the business to the point that you're going to be able to call these things. And I would argue that the fundamentals are tough with some of these small companies because you just don't have a ton of information.
yeah.
With like big companies like Amazon, Nvidia, like there's a million different news articles coming out a day. There's all these analysts. There's like Seeking Alpha's got people posting all the time. It's in the news. You can keep up with that stuff like, constantly. But when it comes to some of these small companies, I mean, you could scour the internet and you barely can find anything.
Yeah.
So it's just different. I mean, you can always rely on the 10Qs and 10Ks, but and honestly, that's kind of all you got for most of these. But even there, I mean, then you're taking the risk on of management's going to perform and do what they say, So it's like there's always a catch.
Yeah.
The other one that I was annoyed though that I missed this week and I was watching it is the ticker MATH, MATH. That was a big miss. It was a great performing stock. And,
I didn't even see this one.
I saw it in the first day I saw it. It was too late. I wasn't able to watch that day, and it was already up too much.
Yeah.
And then the second day, I was happy I didn't take it because it had a decent pullback.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yep, I would have got stopped if I went in late. But then the rest of the week it just kept flying up, and I was like, oh god, that was definitely a buy.
Yeah, because this one looks pretty clear too. Now you look at it now.
Look at the stair step it did. I mean, what a
Yeah.
beautiful consolidation, and then move up from there.
Yeah.
And look at the volume the day before it broke out. Look how tiny that volume is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I'd argue this is I don't know. Qualmaji talks about different stars. This has got to be like a 4.5 star setup to me.
Yeah. But there were earnings though, Dane.
Yeah, that's the thing though, is when I looked at it, I was already too far gone, so I didn't even look into what was going on, which
No.
that's also probably a mistake, is because that's the other thing too, is like, the fundamentals do drive all this regardless of the technicals. So sometimes, you see something start to break out, and if you can quickly pull it up and see that the earnings were good or something like that, and sometimes, and the thing is, it's confusing because sometimes the earnings aren't good, but it still causes the stock to go, which lets you know that it's either better than what people were expecting, or there's something else on top of the earnings going on. Like, they came out with good guidance or blah, 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 whatever. So it's always good to just see what's going on fundamentally, because that's the more important thing.
Yeah.
Because that's what actually moves a stock. I mean, regardless of, a bunch of people hopping in and meme riding it to the top. But
according to TradingView, they had earnings on Thursday, so yeah, that was interrupted a bit though. But maybe with everything all else so clear, you would take a gamble on holding through earnings, or what?
well, if I would have gotten in on that first day, I would have
Yeah.
sold out on, I guess, Thursday.
Yeah, before earnings then.
So
Assuming
yeah,
they release them off the market close.
Yeah, and another thing too. One nice thing is when I go to buy on Fidelity, it does have like a little icon pop up and says that earnings are coming up. So I always usually just quickly check that to see what day it is.
Yeah. No, but this was a good one.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, like, we've talked about this too, like, there's always someone who knows. There's
Yeah.
always people who know what's going on. So, like, earnings are gonna come out, the stock's about to go up, and there's always, like, a day in advance where all of a sudden the stock starts to break out of that range. Like, you
Yeah.
can see here on what day is this? On February 10th, you get just, like, a little bit where it starts to come up.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm like, that's the
This
tell
one.
sign right there that this is a move.
Yeah. And that's the
and we've talked
first.
about like heat. That's the insiders
Yeah.
loading up right there,
Yeah.
or someone's cousin or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah, exactly. No, that was a good chart, I think. You talked about PBI, and I did too. I was in PBI, I got stopped, but you played this better than me this week, I think. But they also had earnings, and it kind of broke out the day after earnings. And I guess you came into it a bit on the lower side than what I did. But have you sold out now, or?
Yeah, I sold out yesterday at the end of the day.
Yeah, because
So
that's
and
also
yesterday it
a
wasn't
good
it
looking
wasn't up
chart.
a ton, but yeah, I mean, it was a clear 3-day breakout. It had literally just done this a week before that,
Yeah.
And PBI is like just one of those stocks that I've hit PBI every time I go to PBI. I think maybe one time I didn't time it right, but PBI just seems to work out for me. So it's
Yeah.
like I got a love for PBI because every time I go in, I end up playing it right usually.
Yeah. And yeah, we know this ticker from before. We have done
Yeah,
a
and
lot
you
of
follow Pitney,
yeah.
so
Yeah. So that was when I see something like this comes up. Same with SSRM right now. To me, it seems like, well, it had a pullback yesterday, but if this breaks out from here, it still looks good, right?
yeah, and it's consolidating right now. It looks
Yeah.
like it. And to be honest, it's still moving. I mean, it's still higher lows right now. We'll see if
Yeah.
it pulls back more.
Yeah.
But
So
I still think this is going to return to its average.
yeah.
Which if you look at like a long term chart, I don't see why this can't get up to like 15.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So my point was, and I'm in this just for, I know we have some new viewers now. I'm in it for a deep value style play. So I'm not talking about SSRM as a swing trading play, but right now it looks good on that too. But when we see a name that we know very well that we have done in the deep value style, and we also see that the chart starts to look good, I'm jumping in on it if I can time it right, or you know, I'm more confident then, I think.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's totally different when it looks like a good swing trade and you know the business well from when we were fundamentally going through stuff.
Yeah,
And ironically, I was talking about this last week, and this is why I was talking about USEG, is now it's kind of the opposite. I saw a swing trade that went well for us, and then I started looking at it as a deep value just because it got me to look into the company.
yeah,
So I guess it can work both ways. And just the most important thing is um, if you have more than one style, which I obviously don't recommend unless you've been doing this for a while, um, you got to really differentiate with the two and make sure that the rules and how you're handling them are totally separate.
yeah. Yeah, another one we talked about here in the beginning was GRRR, which, like I said, I was. Well, when I think about it, I didn't. Hold on. I did take it and I got stopped out and I jumped in again and I couldn't get in before it jumped too much on me. But this one had a stronger pullback yesterday. So I think I would have been stopped out by now anyways. But I would probably lock in the 10% gain that I would get, I think, at least.
Yeah, I would have argued that there's a small consolidation from the 10th and then it breaks out on February 12th.
Yeah,
I would argue that if you had bought it on the 12th, you should be selling yesterday. But it
yeah,
could break out from here too. I mean, now
yeah,
now we're past the 52-week high as well. So
yeah.
this could go
I'm
higher.
I'm keeping it on the watch list, but it's a bit annoying to me that I couldn't get this one right. But I also like this chart, and I've followed this ticker for a little bit at least, and it does have these strong moves every now and then. So I know we have talked about this one in the Discord as well. I know Value have been paying attention to it for a while. Another one we talked about briefly now in the Discord was PL again, and I know you and I have been in it a couple of times before.
Yeah, I believe I got stopped out once on this week.
Oh yeah, you took it this week.
I think I tried to get in one of the days. I don't remember what it was. It might have
Yeah,
been I don't think it was yesterday. No, it wasn't yesterday because the only thing I took yesterday was
it was probably
EHTH.
on Monday.
Yeah, it must have been the Monday one.
Yeah,
And yes, it hadn't clearly broken out. And that's one thing too. Like people I feel like when you're first doing this, you're trying to figure out like, well, how do you really know it's gonna break out? You don't. So
no,
you kind of like you just get a feel for things and like volume looks good. It looks like it's moving up. You look at the intraday chart and like it's getting new highs and you take a risk. And that's why I said they won't all work out, which is why as long as your stop loss is tight, you just need a few to.
yeah, that's why you have the stop loss at 3%, and the truth will be that the majority will not work out. You will get
Right.
stopped out most of the times.
Yes. But every once in a while you'll hit one for a big gain.
Yeah.
And that kind of offsets and sets you up for your next, big chunk of trades.
Yeah. So I didn't take PL this week, incredibly enough, because I took everything else. But I'm putting it back on my watch list because if this gets a clear breakout here or a longer consolidation phase, and you see the volume starts to spike up again, or some news are coming, this can move, I think.
Yeah. No, it looks to me, it looks like it's consolidating pretty nicely. I would
Yeah.
like to see that if you look at the past 2 times it's broken out, um the 20-day moving average um has been tight with the 10.
Yeah.
And also even the 50-day moving average, as you can see on what is this, January 13th, it tapped the 50-day moving average, which then as soon as it bounced off from there, it pretty much ran up. So
This one.
those are things I like to look in the past. I like to see because it tells you institutions are setting their stop losses at moving
Yeah.
average. You know what I mean? And it tell you if it gets to that number and everyone starts buying there, it tells you like no one wants the stock to go up to below that.
Yeah.
So, um, or at least there's enough buyers at that level that it's not going to go below that. So it gives me a little more confidence. So this one I like it, but I want to give it like another week and see
Yeah.
that
I
20-day
agree.
moving average catch up.
Yeah. Another one I didn't take was this one, GRAL,
Oh, that was another
GRAL.
one. Yeah, that was another name I just either would have got into late or just totally missed it.
Yeah.
And one thing I was thinking about too. So you see how this is a relatively new company, but when somewhere in January, as this starts to really break out, and it gets into like this $30 range, and then it starts to continue to push this move higher, um, there's no resistance. No one has bought
No.
at these levels. No one is looking to sell out. Now, don't get me wrong, people will sell out here. Obviously, they are selling. That's how it keeps going higher. But my point being is there's not like any big resistance yet because the stock's never been this high.
Yeah.
So, this is something that like I like really had to kind of bash into my head. But all-time highs are a good thing. Like people are hesitant to buy at all-time highs, but I don't know. I mean, all-time highs means there's no one who the stock's never been there. Like people don't know how it's going to react. And I
Yeah.
mean, this is a clear example of, once this got past $35, and it started to get to that $36 range, and there's no one up there, it's all buyers at this point.
Yeah.
There's nothing to stop it.
No. I think the reason I didn't take it was it went up so much on 12th of February on Wednesday that I felt I was a bit behind. I didn't catch it soon enough, and then it just continued to run up. That happens.
No, definitely, definitely a big mover. But and this is why, it does stink because you really do have to kind of be in a good spot to be able to kind of watch that first hour or so.
Yeah.
Um, and if you can't, it is what it is. Don't get me wrong, you can still kind of peek at things and take, some of the days, I'm not gonna lie, I look quick and I'll see something moving and I'll check the chart and then I'll check see if there's news. And if it passes the green light, it's a buy because I know that day I'm not gonna be able to watch it. Which for
Yeah.
better or for worse, is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, and then other days I'm able to really sit and watch the market move. So that those days you feel a lot more in control. You have a much better idea of what your options are, and it stops you from like you bought one and then you look back and you're like, oh my god, like how come I didn't buy these ones?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think let me check here. Chef was another one that I never planned to take this because it jumped up on me a bit. It gapped up here, but Chef performed pretty good I think this week, and this is a bit of a bigger market cap though, which also put me off a bit. It's at 2.6 billion now, almost.
yeah, Chef is definitely a great. It was a good buy. But this is a good point here. So you look at this chart and it looks like it's killing it. But if you think about it, you went from a buy somewhere at like 50 some dollars to $65 by the sell point, which don't get me the wrong, that's not bad, but that's like a 10% return, and it's kind of like the max you were going to get on this. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's don't like I said, you can go into these bigger cap stocks, and don't get me wrong, sometimes they do move. Um, and I actually have a screener at end of day that kind of breaks all my rules, and it's for me to kind of gauge if other stuff outside of my realm is something I should be looking at. Um, and like PCOR, I saw a PCOR was one that is way too big for me, but had a big move on Friday. Um, and I like to just look at the ones like I'll set it where my market cap minimum's like 5 million, and I'll set my PCOR.
Yeah. I was like, what is this? PCO.
Um,
This one.
what do you call it? Either way, I set it open, and I'll set it so like the market cap can be anything essentially. And the whole point though is just so I can see stuff. I just
Yeah.
want to, because it's that's normally not in my screeners. So sometimes I like to peek at all the stuff I'm not looking at just to make sure, is there anything I'm consistently missing that should be added into the things I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So yes, even though it's important, I feel like, to narrow down your range and in what universe you're looking at, so you're not overwhelmed by thousands of stocks. At the same time too, it is good sometimes just to pan back and look at everything and just make sure you're not missing anything. Like, is there any other area I should be focusing on, um, to try and find stuff? And most of the time I find not. Yeah, that's why I have it set the way it is. But occasionally, maybe I'll bend the rules, or it'll give me another stock that I normally wouldn't look at. My watch list includes stocks that are normally either too big, they don't fit my market cap, they don't fit my price, but they're big, strong movers. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's enough. Like, if it's just a stock that has just moved every time it moves each, in a year, it just breaks out. Those are instances where I'm going to bend my rules, and I'll buy something on my watch list just because I start to see it take off, and I'm like, yeah, this is just one of those stocks that moves.
Yeah. A ticker I did take this week was INOD, INOD.
Yeah,
I did get stopped out, but it pulled back up again. So I'm still like, earnings is in 5 days. It says here on TradingView. But I've been watching this for a little bit because I remember this move right here that it had on 9 of December. It went pretty. It had a solid gain and then pulled back the same day. So I can only assume that you have some resistance here. But as you saw on Friday, it did actually move a little bit higher than this point right here. So
yeah, but I would also argue too, this looks like, go back to November, just go back a further month, and you can see we're starting to get the same kind of green candles where and I'm looking at the actual volume,
yeah,
on, it looks like, what is this, the 6th, 7th of November.
okay, yeah,
And it kind of looks very similar to what it looks like right now, right before that big move up, which I'm assuming that was earnings, the 8th,
that was a earning, yeah,
because why else it jump like that? So
yeah,
it kind of looks similar to that in my mind.
yeah, and
This is interesting. I like this one.
yeah, I did, I did too. I wanted to be in it. I would actually have a gain now, but the stops have killed me this week. Or not the stops, the entries. I'm timing it wrong. But yeah, I'm keeping
Yeah,
this on the watch list, and I will continue to watch it. Maybe I will jump in again this coming week. You said it was closed on Monday, right?
yeah. Stock market's closed Monday because of President's Day.
Yeah.
Another one I just noticed that I didn't get into that looks really great is RSI, Rush Street. That looks like it just broke out on Friday, and I didn't even see
Oh
it.
yeah. 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 On Friday. Yeah.
So that one might be one I reflect on and try and wonder why I didn't see that.
Yeah. Bit big though. 377.
Yeah, maybe I did look at it, and that's what kind of caused me
Yeah.
to hesitate. Because that's the other thing too. Sometimes I look quick, and I don't normally. I had to buy at the end of the day on yesterday, so I'm a little bit more picky at end of day because they do work out. don't get me wrong, you can buy end of day and it can work out great. But
Yeah.
at the same time too, if it's not really strong the next day, a lot of times it pulls back early enough that you'll get stopped right out. So um,
Yeah.
it just is what it is.
Are you still in ADTN, Dane?
Yes, I have. I bought this on Thursday, so Monday.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Tuesday now will be if I'm gonna get out.
Yeah, I did the same. So this is one that I'm currently in. It didn't really pull back heavily yesterday, but it held up pretty good until towards the end, I think, and then it dropped a little bit more.
Yeah,
But yeah, let's
I'm at
see.
like break even with it right now.
Yeah, I'm a
I'm
little bit.
actually. Well, it's hard to say because
Yeah,
sometimes it depends on how much I buy share wise, and I'm just under 10% for a position, but that probably means it's about break even.
yeah.
Like
No, I think
so.
you would be around break even right now. I'm a little bit at a loss right here, but yeah, I'm also having 1 day left on it. So let's see what happens on Tuesday. Another ticker that I know you talked a little bit about that I took this week was how do you say this? UAMY?
Oh, you Amy?
UAMY,
I don't know.
yeah.
That's what
And
I call it. But
just like you warned me, you said you have been burned on it every time you try, and now I did the same. So
every time I've tried to get in UAMI, I think at this point too, it's probably been over a month, so I don't have my stupid wash sale on it.
yeah,
But yeah, I think I got 3 times, and I have a 3 strike rule.
yeah,
If I get stopped 3 times on a stock, I just stop. Like don't because then the issue is in order to meet your wash sale requirement, I have to get a 10% return basically right off the rip just to even break even. So it's like
yeah,
that's the end of it right there.
yeah.
So
No,
yeah,
since
it's just
yesterday I even deleted this from my watch list. I think it with if it turns around, it will show up in my screens, so I will catch it. But yeah, I don't want to look at it anymore.
well, see, this is another one where this is why I like to look at the moving averages. This is one if you zoom back a little bit. The last 2 times it's went up. So there was once back in like there's a consolidation from June to August of last year. And in that period, it took until the 100-day moving average started to get close to it before it finally broke out. And
Yeah,
then same thing in November and December, the 50 moving average had caught up, but it wasn't until it started bouncing off the 100 that we started to see it start to push higher, and that's when it finally breaks out. So for me, I'm not looking at UAMI until that 100-day moving average gets closer.
yeah, no, that
I'm not taking the risk.
yeah, that's a good point.
So
I think
just
another
I mean,
one.
these are dumb things I consider. I don't know if there's any I don't know if that matters at all. I don't, I have no
No,
idea if
but
that matters.
yeah, but I also
But I'm looking
think
for
like a
patterns.
3 strike rule in something is at some point you just get a bit confused, if and that will affect your thinking about going clearly into things. I think if you have been burnt 3 times already on a ticker in a short time, you should take a break from it probably.
Yeah, and to be honest, the 3 strike rule is like a definite, but I really more have like a 2 strike rule now. Like if I go in something and get stopped out, and then I hop back in and get stopped out again, that's like kind of because, like I said, even there, you need a 6% return just to break even.
Break even, yeah.
So it's like I don't know. It's
I know we both took HSAI, and that also didn't work out for me. I think I got stopped on the same day, I
oh
think.
yeah, yeah. It was up for a day and then dropped right back down.
It
So
looked very promising and strong, but then this was here right on Wednesday, I think it was.
yeah, which whatever. I mean, there's only so much
Yeah,
the name looked strong. It
had
had a big
volume.
up move, had
Yeah,
volume.
yeah,
Just kind of weakened at the end of the day. So
yeah,
or the end of the week. So
yeah, yeah. That was one, and I'm still in ALTS. That's one I'm in right now.
oh yeah, I was watching all time at the end of the day on Friday actually because it looked good. It was just a bit up. I just more want to see what it does on Tuesday.
Yeah, I took it end of day yesterday, so this was a recent purchase for me together with QD. I did that one end of day too. I think that looks strong though.
Yeah, well, it looks good too. No,
But
they
let's
both look
see.
good.
I think
Trust me, like I
those.
said, there's a legitimate strategy in taking, because if we're holding for a 3-day holding period and you buy it end of day, I mean, you're still going to hold it for the next 2 days.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. Those are the three ones I'm in right now. I think. I can't remember if I feel like, have we talked about hold on, ATAT? No, I wasn't in that
AT-AT?
one.
No, I didn't see this one. Oh, this would have been too large for my screeners.
Yeah, I confused it with something else because I didn't take this one. No, I think those were, as far as I can remember right now, those were the ones I took this week.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it wasn't a bad week. It just was kind of like back and forth.
Yeah, I'm not down a lot. I have to say that I'm just. It makes it more frustrating to me that I missed out on PBI and GRRR after being in them.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, before the stream, I was gonna make like a 5-minute 5-day chart, and just like I feel like I want to start reviewing stocks to go over my timing for entrances. Um I don't know if there's like a great reflection that I can see from all of it, but just to start watching it, just to be like, like, you got like to look in, especially for stuff you bought and got stopped out. Um,
Yeah.
because you got to work on the entrances, because with the tight stop loss, you can get into you can pick all the right names, but you can get stopped out because your entrance was poor. And you can miss some big moves even though you were in the name right.
Yeah. This is a ticker that I added to the watch list at the end of the day yesterday, AMWL. What do you think about it?
This looks pretty good. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on it. Has some volume the last 3 days, and that's on our earnings beat. And I
Yeah,
think there's some
I just like that
also,
it's really surfing that 10-day moving average.
yeah, a lot. What puts me off a bit, and I know this doesn't matter, but at the same time, a lot of people listen to this, there's a hold rating on it at the current share price. So they have
Why
a
is that?
hold rating from $12,
They're not allowed to sell it above 12?
No, it's just like a report that they advise you to hold it. They have a target price on 12, which is where the current price is. So yeah, it just shows up in trading views, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I want to know what is that? Why is that?
I'm sure I can. It says, I don't know how to say this name, but Truist Securities adjust price target on American Well to 12 from 10, keeps hold rating. So they like it, but they see the
Oh,
price target.
you're saying just a hold rating. I thought you were saying they were holding the price.
No, oh no. No.
Because I was like, why are they doing that? I'm like, I know they do that in like futures, like they have,
Yeah.
like
No.
they have caps, but
Yeah.
oh, okay.
No.
Well, they just got a military contract too.
Yeah. No, I saw
So
that. I'm watching it though, and I like big volume spikes, and they did have it wasn't a massive earnings beat, but it was a beat, and the market cap, it's around 200 million right now. Yeah,
no, it looks good. I agree.
yeah,
This looks nice, and also too, if you look at the 20-day moving average on Thursday, it tapped it and bounced right off
yeah. It did.
around, and now that's up to like 1109. So
Yeah. This
uh
candle right here on Friday, 2nd of August. Do you care about this candle when you read this chart?
Friday. Oh, that it bounced and then came right back.
Yeah, and it's right there. Yesterday, it hit that exact same point, and it pulled back again.
Not really, only because I mean, sure, there might be some resistance there. You could argue that, but back then, I mean, the whole chart was in a downswing, and I'm not looking at
Yeah.
companies then. So I kind of like see how this crosses over the 200 moving average at the end of kind of the year here and starts working up from there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of cutting it right there. Like I'm focused on that last from like the
January.
13th of January on.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, it starts to break above all the moving averages and kind of the old sentiment of that this thing's not it just kept plummeting, and
Yeah.
working its way down. And to be honest, this got all the way down to, I mean, if you really want to go back and you want to argue, this flung up to August on August 1st, it flung up, but also look back to July 1st, it swung way down.
Yeah.
So you can argue that's reversion of the mean. It swung way down. There's a lot of people in it, gets exciting, and then it swings way up to the high side. And that's kind of set a new range essentially for this stock.
Yeah.
I would argue if this thing broke below 5, it would be a definite sell. Like that would be, even as like a deep value play, you wouldn't want to be getting in there. Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, no, it looks good.
Yeah, it does look good. And it had 3 days now with 4 days actually with above average volume.
Yeah, no, it looks like there's some interest right here. And like you said, there's good news. And it's a small
Yeah.
company, which means at 180 million, which I know some people that might sound big, but it's not really in general. But
Yeah.
it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. So I'm keeping that. Did you check out this one, OPRT? Because this has had some crazy moves this entire week, I think. Also
No,
on
look at that.
earnings.
This is a beautiful one.
Yeah.
I don't know why I missed this.
Also 270 million in market cap. It's a finance company.
No, I mean this is a clear buy, or was.
Yeah.
I mean now it's a little late, but
But it was
yeah,
on an earnings beat though, that gap up.
I was gonna say I might have, maybe it had just moved too quick. Oh, that's why, because of that gap up. That's why I wouldn't have gotten
Yeah.
on this.
But once again though, look at the volume before the earnings, and also you can argue you should have maybe bought it there on the earnings day, but we don't like to do that, right?
Well, it depends on when the earnings are. And this is, like I said, this is one of the cases where, you do take a risk, because if those earnings aren't there, look at the move up it had just made. It could pull all the way back. So,
Yeah.
but
Which we
also that big of a move. I mean, this moved from, 380 to like $6. So it almost doubled in leading up to earnings. That's pretty bullish,
yeah.
and not on a ton of volume.
No. And I guess you can argue you should have taken it also on 31st of January.
Yeah, oh yeah, on there it's definite. I mean, that's probably the real move that you could have got on this, and you're avoiding the earnings problem.
Yeah. And it's up 72% since in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's good. This is a good stock.
Yeah.
This is
I've kept it on the watch
is-
list, but couldn't get it.
That's a miss.
Yeah.
So
Another chart I saw it. It was a bit interesting. It was SkyX.
yeah, I saw SkyX was moving, but I never considered it, so I'm not sure exactly why.
I just see the pattern. It repeats itself. Like it goes up, has some red days, pulls back to almost like the what is this? The 20-day moving average.
Yeah.
Then comes up again, pulls back up, and now let's see if the 20 catches up to it. Maybe you should watch it.
Yeah, actually, ironically, I think the last time I did SkyX, it was on that. It was one of the days it was coming up, and it was just moving strongly. And I know it's on my strong mover stocks list.
Yeah.
So I caught one of these days where it hadn't quite broken out yet, but it was showing really strong volume, and I had a good return on it. So but it's tough though too, because on the way up too, there is some red candles. So on those days,
Yeah.
if you don't get in at the right time, the next day you will get stopped out. So it's a tough one. It's choppy. I
Yeah,
don't
it's very
like these
choppy.
charts, but you can play them. Just know what you're getting into.
You can see it a bit here also from October 2024, and when all the averages are in the correct order, it goes up and then it pulls it back to the 20, also in that time period, and then of course it breaks down eventually. But Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I don't do this, but there's a legit strategy in finding stocks that show really strong support on moving averages and buying at those levels.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't do it either. I just, but if you get a breakout here, maybe I will look at it, you know.
Right.
Do you have any tickers that we haven't gone through that you want to look at?
Um,
I saw Mastercraft. They just can't keep the price above 20. They always wants to go back to 19.
yeah, I think I like you said. I think they're doing everything they can in this market environment, but it's
Yeah.
just the whole sector's just struggling.
Yeah. I'm
You know,
still
you
holding there. Still also in SSRM. But
yeah,
that's yeah.
those two are good long term holds. I agree.
Yeah, I think so. I have no
So
rush there either.
yeah, so I was thinking about this because I find I think I'm trying to time my USEG entrance like I am a swing trade. And I
Yeah.
think what I'm gonna do instead is start slowly building a position.
Yeah.
Um and I want to, like I said, I think I wanted to become like a 10% position so it's on the same level as a swing trade would be. But the goal will be to start with maybe like do like a percent, and then anytime I see like some kind of like pullback where it's not too much, put another percent on. um and that way if it starts to take off I can probably just fill in the position and I'll just get in where I get in. um but I'm thinking of doing that. I still
Yeah.
like it. I read through the recent 10Ks and 10Q, so or other way around. And I still like it. I think the helium plays there. I think it probably won't take off for maybe a few more months. I think next earnings is in March, and I think that's where you're going to get a much better picture of what they're going to be able to accomplish this year, and then it'll all be uh, execution from that point.
Yeah.
But the switch to helium seems pretty lucrative from what I've research I've done.
Yeah, no, I like that article that we went through briefly last time.
Yeah, like I said, the only thing I bought end of day was EHTH. I don't know if you had pulled that chart up, but um,
Hold on. What was the ticker?
it's eHealth, EHTH. I think this was a courage and conviction one.
I saw this one the entire week, but I didn't take it for
I just took it
some.
at the end of day on Friday, so hopefully it doesn't pull back big.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Did
Yeah.
it do anything in after hours? I didn't even check.
I'm not sure.
It's probably down 20%. No, it's up. It's up a little bit. So I'm rich. No, it's up 2%.
Nice. Yeah, no. This one also looks interesting, and you took it just at the end of the day there. It had some good volume too at the last 5 minutes.
Yeah. This is the thing, yeah, it's great to capture that midday, that first day, obviously, as much of it as you can capture when something breaks out, but one that's not like this one's breaking out, but it's kind of like all over the place. It by buying at end of day, it prevents you from getting stopped out from the intraday move.
Yeah.
Obviously the next day it can open up down and you can get stopped out right away, but it's one way of getting into these things without putting all that risk on. Like we talked about BBAI when we missed that, and that was one that you had talked about getting in at the end of the day, and it would have done the same thing. You would have been able to get in kind of before you get slingshotted around because everybody's buying and selling it on those crazy volume days.
Yeah. UNFI. You said it was a bit too big for you. Was that what you said?
No, it's not that it's too big. I tried playing this one before, but if you look back, look at every time it's basically kind of gapped up. It just pulls right back the next day. So
Yeah.
this is one I got stopped out of, and I literally saw that last time, and then I bought it in this December 10th.
Yeah.
And pulled back, got stopped out, and I was like, you know, the chart literally basically told you that's what happens every time, and you still fell for it. So that's you know, the old shame on me.
Yeah.
So I just won't touch it because, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, on Friday, I guess the pullback wasn't big, but if it collapses from here, it wouldn't surprise me because, you know, this is a better long-term hold. Like if you had bought this, like
Yeah.
if, you know, if you're going to argue that you want to buy this one, you actually want to buy this one. It looks like to me more like on a pullback and hold because for the long haul, this has just continued to gone up.
Yeah. I know Justin has some articles. He was involved in this, I think, ahead of this giant move back here, where he ended up being correct on it, you know.
Yeah.
But what I also see here, Dane, is that those jumps up that you refer to, those are on earnings every time. And now
Yeah.
it's not. It's not on earnings, but the earnings are close. It's like in 3 weeks.
Yeah, so maybe it's a preemptive bounce. So I mean, yeah, you could have played it. I just to me it looks like it's like slowly moving up. Like
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that you're going to get some big return on this either. Like I'm not picturing it going from like 32 to like 60, you know.
No, I agree.
So, you know, that's all stuff I'm taking into consideration.
Yeah.
We could just YOLO day before earnings all options.
Yeah, but I prefer FTEL to YOLO on.
Oh, you want to do FTEL options. All right, that's fair.
I have a few other.
You doing puts?
Sorry?
You gonna do puts? Just put it
No,
all on the
no.
line?
No, I'm doing calls.
You should have done puts full margin.
I have a few other tickers in the watch list. I'm not sure. Let's just go through them and see what you think. This one is KGEI, Colibri.
Hang on, let me pull this up. KGEI,
KGEI, yeah.
Colibri.
Yeah.
This one's good, but it's kind of similar to UNFI. Like it's one of those stocks that's just been moving up great. Like this is a
Yeah.
great hold and just doesn't seem to really break out very much. It does, and these are ones that you know, it's kind of safe almost in a weird way. Like if you look at this move from mid-November through I don't know, mid-December, I guess, it just moved up like consistently.
Yeah.
And some of those stocks, like you can kind of take the risk and just hold this for like a week or two. Now, that's not my style. So that's why I look at this and I'm like, this one's not for me.
Yeah.
But there is something to say for these ones that kind of trickle up.
Yeah. And it has it doesn't have a lot of volume on average, but in this, since January, it has a lot of days that are well above the average, you know, in volume, that which is why it's being pushed up, like you say, every day. But yeah, I'm just having it on the watch list. I don't think I want to take a position here, but yeah, let's see. Another
don't
one
get me
is
wrong,
Talk. Sorry?
well, I was just gonna say on that
Oh, yeah.
last one, it does have a bit of a stair step at times, but when it actually breaks out, it usually pulls back after
Pulls
that for
back,
2
yeah.
days.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't fit what I'm looking for very well. So
Yeah.
this one for me is like it's not really one I'm going to go at just because I'm not trying to. I'm trying to look for ones that repeat that same stair step profile that just break out.
Yeah.
You know, or it looks as close to that as possible.
If you look at this day, for example, on Monday, the 6th of January, you can argue you could have taken it there, but if you hold for 3 days, it's a break even, because it
Yeah,
does
I
pull
mean,
that.
you'd be up a little bit,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying is it's not really like an exciting play.
Yeah, no.
So,
Talk, I
but
know you mentioned them,
strong
right?
stock. Yeah, I did talk.
Yeah.
Talk I did last week, and kind of stinks because I believe I bought on February 7th and then sold on the 11th, which was a bit of a pullback, but
Yeah.
still for a profit.
Yeah. And I have this one. You have mentioned this too. I think Black Sky Technology.
Yeah, I believe I got stopped out of them this week. I think this was one of the other ones I had taken, but this is another strong stock that has worked out well for me in the past. So
Yeah. I'm about to. I know. Sometimes I just like to clean up the watch list, and I mean, if this continues down, I think I will delete it from the watch list and let the scans show it to me again. You know.
yeah.
But I do like if this turns around and you get another breakout here, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point too. And we had talked about this a little bit on the Discord. Value was talking, and it's nice to have your watch lists and stuff, but like I don't just go off my watch list. Like a lot of times I'm looking at what's moving during that day because Black Sky, for instance, like yeah, it might come off my watch list, but if I see that name pop up during the day when I'm screening, like it's immediately going to catch my eye just because I know that stock. I've been in it before.
Yeah.
I know what the chart looks like. So I'm just trying to see where it's at the time. So sometimes it's like you can build these watch lists and that's all great, but um I kind of just like to see what's moving during the days because otherwise, like, what am I going to do? Sit there and watch, 100 tickers on my watch list? Like,
Yeah. No.
it's a lot to go through and to have all these different charts, and then you're trying to do stuff quick. Like, you're trying to find some method of being efficient in doing this.
Yeah. I my process is like I do the scans. During the opening, I'm only on the scans, and you can set it in TradingView that it auto refresh every minute. I think it is. So it just keeps giving me tickers, and I'm 100% focusing on the scans. I have 2 different ones that I use. And then from that scans, I create the watch list. I add tickers to the watch list, and then when it has gone maybe an hour or so, I don't have a a limit. But if it's a slow day and I don't find so many things in the scans, then I start to look at the watch list. But it's like my third option.
Yeah, no, and it's a legit way of doing things.
Yeah. And I
So
rarely take things from the watch list, to be honest, because what I have found when I have them there is that they lack volume on the day that they look a bit interesting. And that's also, if they don't show up in the screens, it's because of that, but it's
Sure.
a balance thing, because sometimes if it looks good, and it's on for example, a new high, you don't necessarily need a ton of volume to take a chance on it.
Yeah, and I think where the biggest thing I find with my watch list is because typically the ones I'm putting on the watch list are the strong breakout candidates. And like I said, that not only do they have strong volume when they do and really strong breakouts, but these stocks have just been successful for whatever time period I've been looking at. Strongest of the month, strongest of the last 6 months, strongest of the last year, blah blah blah. And on those stocks, a lot of times, like when I pull up my watch list, something will be up like, I don't know, let's say 10%, which is on the high side of where I want to get in. And maybe it starts to go to 11 or 12%. Now, normally, if it's up 12%, it's starting to me, it's getting to like a range where I'm chasing it. But if it's a stock I've seen before, I've watched it move, I know it can be really strong. Those are the ones where I kind of will bend my rules, and that's how I use my watch list. Like that one might be up 12%, and I normally wouldn't get in there, but I might take that one right there just because if it does continue to push higher, it gives me a way of entering into some of these names that it's tough to get in on the days they move, because when they do, they fly up. And
Yeah.
then and don't get me wrong, you can still get stopped out, obviously, but those are also the ones too that could be up 30-40% in a day. And like if you miss that move, like that sucks.
Yeah. BBAI.
Yeah, BBAI is a,
Yeah.
a great example. So like
Yeah.
when that one comes up on my watch list, like, I'm sitting there like really paying attention, like,
Yeah.
okay, this one's moving and I like it and I know it's up, but like this might be one to take a good risk on.
Yeah. I have another ticker here, MBI, which is another finance insurance thing. We talked about this last time, because I noticed a lot of the insurance companies had similar charts to this. I've just kept it on the watch list, but I'm not sure about this one. It's a bit messy. But if it gets a clear breakout here, what do you think?
I kind of like it here. I mean, the
Yeah.
50 days caught up, the hundreds above the 200 now. And I know these moving averages are just like, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. It just shows me strength. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking at, though, is what I'm saying all that. But, if this one's able to clearly start breaking above, like, 750, I think it would be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
You know, and especially if it's on some stronger volume. Like, right now, too, we had that big spike up that put us back into this, like, $7 range
yeah,
on, what is that? The 31st?
yeah.
And now the volume's gone way back down, so that consolidation makes me, I like it here, is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
It says here that they have earnings in 12 days. So maybe if it breaks out, you have time with 3-day period before earnings. So yeah,
Well, and what was the other financial one we were just looking at that, because of the earnings, it killed it?
yeah. I'm keeping it on the watch list. The last one is KLTR, which is something I kind of want to get rid of from the watch list right now, just because the day it had yesterday, because it seems like it's repeating the pattern a bit from 3rd of January.
Yeah, it's tough to say.
Yeah, and it has earnings in 5 days, so I'm definitely probably just gonna watch this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely resistance there around, like, upper twos, but,
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see, if this one could break through that range and it starts to move, especially around earnings, like, after earnings, I'm saying, like, say it kinda gaps up a little bit,
yeah,
this could be like a good EP type play.
yeah.
And I'm not specifically doing, like, EPs, but, like, if earnings came out, it's good, and it starts moving right away, like, that's to me, it's a breakout, same difference, so,
Yeah.
um I could take something on that.
Are they? I'm not even sure what they do. It says they are a tech company. Maybe it's some AI stuff.
Robots.
Probably. Yeah, robots. Get rid of it. Yeah, I think those are my. I think we have gone through the entire watch list plus my positions now. Did you see anything else this week?
No, I think those are the main ones that we covered,
Yeah,
but, yeah, like I said, there's a few names that we had mentioned on here, we'll put those in the video caption,
yeah,
so you guys can refresh them or look at them if you want. And, no, I mean, those will be what I'm looking for. And this is the thing too, like I said, like, even if you made a watch list of those names, like, yeah, it's great to watch that when, like, the markets open up on Tuesday. But at the same time, like, I'm just seeing what's moving on Tuesday. Like, yeah, if I see one of those names, great. But if not, it's fine. Sometimes it takes a while.
yeah.
Like, you don't want to, like, rush into these names either.
No, which is another thing. Like I saw, what is the guy's name? I have his book here, Minarvini, right?
Yeah.
I saw he posted a tweet or how do you say it now, Dane? He posted a X.
A post, I don't know. Post it on X.
He posted on X. Well, I can't even remember what he posted now. But his point was when the good breakout starts to fail, you go into cash, which is a little bit what I experienced this week. But I think that maybe he saw something similar. But I think my problem was more my entry positions. And because I did find some good ones, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I will say,
Did you see that post?
just this, I don't know if I saw that one specifically. I do follow him, so I
Yeah,
definitely see some of his stuff. But, yeah, I don't know if, that's exactly like what I would, like exactly how I handle it, that I just sit in cash.
yeah,
And it's more just because I'm inexperienced. Like, whatever Mark's doing, I trust him. The guy knows what he's doing,
yeah,
but from my perspective, just because I'm still kind of like practicing, like, if like, for instance, like, the week's got like a bunch of red days and breakouts seem to kind of be failing, there's not much hitting 52-week highs, blah blah blah. That's just a sign to me that, like, I'm probably only going to take one, maybe two things in a day, and just kind of see how stuff goes. And then there's the weeks where, like, everything's moving, everybody's super optimistic and, like, everything's breaking out. Like, on those, sure, I could take three, four things a day, five, six, who knows? It just depends on the day, you know?
yeah. I found the
So,
post here, so we get it correct. when the best setups don't work, you don't go to the worst setups. You go to cash. So instead of fumbling around, he just said, "Be safe and take a cash position," I guess.
And that, like we've said too, I mean, the market will tell you. The market
Yeah.
will tell you what's going on. So
Yeah. I just saw that because yeah. There were a lot of pullbacks this week, for me at least.
yeah, no, and it was tough even because like you're saying, like, and it's not just the pullbacks, it's the entrances. You know, like
Yeah.
when you're going in and you're just getting stopped out of stuff, that just shows you that things are relatively weak.
Yeah.
You know, it should be when you're buying in, that stock price is hard to get in because it's just going up.
Yeah.
But
Doesn't always work like that.
no, it doesn't. So you got to take what you're given.
Yeah.
You know, if you're doing swing trading specifically.
But I do like that point though, that if it don't go direct up, does it have momentum, you know? And of course it can pull back and be a bit tricky, and then you get the move up, and that's kind of what we are talking about, right? You get stopped out even though you found the right stock and the right move. You went in it at the wrong time, and it still worked out. You were not wrong, you just timed it wrong. But if you are in a ticker and it doesn't move up directly, does it have the momentum you're looking for? I think that's an important point here.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And that's like something you have to just accept. Like, you know, sometimes everything looks perfect, your setup looks perfect, and then it still fails.
Yeah.
So there's there's only so much you can do. That's why it's all
I
about
can't
hedging.
remember which one said it on one of the Market Wizard books, but he said, like, if it doesn't go, if it pulls back, and my stop loss are not triggered, I still sell 50% of the position because it didn't do what I wanted it to do, you know?
Yeah. And I'm not saying that's a bad idea. I would just have to like test that, you know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, if I got to the point where I could sit here and play around with this stuff even more than I do, I would test those kind of ideas and see if that's worthwhile, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe I find it is. Maybe I find on all the ones I'm getting stopped out of, if I would have sold half my position right away on those days, like, you know, it starts off and I end up like down 1% by the end of the day, and then the next day I get stopped out. You know, maybe I would find that I'm saving money by doing that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you got anything else to add there?
No, not really. I just noticed that the SSRM have earnings next week, so that will be interesting, and to see also for a longer term hold, if there's some. I expect some more updates on what's going on in Turkey with them. So that's something I'm gonna go through and read through, and I'm sure we're gonna talk about it in a week or so.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah. Well, I just saw what you had named our YouTube stream. But that gives me some good ideas for a thumbnail.
Yeah.
But what do you call it? Yeah, we'll see where next week. Like we said, next week's gonna be a short week.
Yeah.
And I gotta drive back on Tuesday, so I probably won't get to do much on Tuesday. So it'll
Oh.
be a real short week for me in terms of what I get to actually do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can occasionally check and stuff while I'm driving, but
I will actually have some time next week, so I'm gonna update the channel. I'm gonna find a way to find how do you say this, like a permanent Discord link? I think I briefly Google it, and I think it's an option to do it. So we will check it and fix that stuff, because that's just annoying. I don't know.
yeah,
what
it's
they do
stupid
there.
that it keeps sending us like new links essentially, and that they expire or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get that fixed, and then what else? Yeah, same as always. If you guys like the content, please subscribe. Continue to post comments, all that nonsense. And join Discord. Because on
Yeah.
Discord, that's where you'll get. You can ask you like, you know, on YouTube stuff. Like, we'll try to respond to that, but it's kind of a pain. Like, you know, I don't get like notifications about it. You know, I
Yeah,
probably
I know.
could, but I'm not. I don't, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But Discord, I check Discord daily. So like, if you're asking questions in there, I can give you like real feedback.
Yeah.
So,
A bit quicker and
I no longer am using Reddit, just because it's just Reddit for me has just been, it's just exploded and be taken over by political content, and I just don't want to. It's like annoying. I used to enjoy Reddit because Reddit used to be funny. It used to be Wall Street bets, and like it's just drowned it out now by just complete nonsense all day.
yeah.
So I'm not using Reddit. So if you do want to respond to me on something, um, don't use Reddit.
Discord would be the best for both of us, I think.
Yeah, Discord at this point, or I mean, you can post on YouTube or X for that
Yeah.
matter. Um, and
For sure.
the X, I still get the same thing with the political stuff, but at least it's all my finance stuff too, and the finance shines through because
Yeah.
that's really who I'm following.
Yeah.
So I'm okay on X, but
Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's
other than that, I hope everybody has a good rest of your week.
what do you thought about the Super Bowl, Dane?
It was nice to watch Kansas City get smacked.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I was at a party, and I really could care less about the game at that point.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like watching. I mean, I was, but
Yeah.
it was nice to see it not go their way. Just sorry if you're a
Is that
KC
the
fan.
team like everyone hates them or what?
Yeah, they've just been strong for a while. So
Yeah.
it's easy when anybody in a position starts to win a few times, and then you're like, oh, just anybody but them.
Yeah.
It's not like I even love Philly by any means.
No.
But
And
and I'm happy for Philly fans. Whatever, we've already said I'm a Bills fan, so I'm in the AFC. So what's happening in the NFC to me is like kind of whatever.
yeah.
It matters, but not on the same level. So
And where was it this time? Was it in New Orleans?
yeah, it was in New Orleans, which
Yeah.
they did some cool stuff from New Orleans. That's more like from from there. They have big music city and all that. So
Yeah.
they had some cool homage to that stuff. But I'm just waiting for it to warm up here. This next week
Yeah.
here is brutally cold. I'm sick of this cold weather.
Did you get the snow?
Yeah, but we didn't get that much. I only got just a few inches of snow.
Okay.
We're supposed to get more this week though, so we'll
Been
see
a
what we end
pretty
up getting.
mild winter here too, to be honest. I saw that they forecasted a very cold March, but yeah, let's see. We are almost done with the winter, luckily, but it's surprisingly mild actually. So a
See,
bit
here it's
weird.
cold. My January and February has been cold, like
Have
colder than I
they? Yeah.
remember. Yeah, it's not been a great winter here.
No, okay.
So I'm waiting for it to end.
Yeah, for sure. That's
We're gaining
that's
daylight. That's the one thing. I like the daylight.
yeah. We need to
So
take a trip down to Value, I think, and enjoy. If he lives on the Northern Island, we need to enjoy some of the beaches they have there.
we should flip flop. We'll spend half our year there and the other half in our spots.
Yeah. All right.
So
Take
all
care,
right.
everyone. We will see you in a week then.
Yep. Have a good one, everybody.
Yeah. Bye bye.